FLICKR 这个队伍的话，我觉得是套路比较多吧，就是感觉跟他们对上有点危险。
对危机这个队的话，我觉得只要处理好他们中野的联动，应该我们获胜的概率就会非常大。
现在 Vici 的中野状态应该是还可以的，我跟骚粉会很谨慎的应对他们，不让他们在前期取得优势。
我们现在打得挺好的，战胜 FLICKR 的话应该不成问题。
Swift 虽然也是一名侵略性很强的选手，但是跟沙文比起来还是差那么一点。整个飞起来带4倍半的起飞。
骚粉这边carry没人管得了这个卡莎，卡莎疯狂突出，又打一个被动 ，AJ 也被击杀。
赛程上的一切都是瞬息万变，不到最后一刻绝不放弃对胜利的追逐。
对于FLICKR而言，每一场比赛都至关重要，我们想赢，还想赢得漂亮。
A little typhoon finally hit Shanghai last night, so today we move away from matches at the Shanghai Arena to 3 different studios across China, the first of which features Vici Gaming gearing up to charm their way out of the Snake Pit. Snake have added more dangerous and venomous species to the pit, and in light of that, we'll have to see if Vici can actually escape without a bite today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Matthew Stewart, and let's get to business, starting with how the LPL currently looks at the moment, because after last night's matches, we see Invictus Gaming tying top of the table with JDG in the Eastern Conference. EDG able to pick up another point for themselves, but Rogue Warriors have the opportunity to tie that up on the on the western side of the conference if they are able to take down RNG in our match of the week later tonight. Also, a couple of teams fighting for that 4th spot in their respective conference. TOP, OMG, as well as FPX all tied up 3 and 6, with Suning still having 2 points above both BLG as well as LGD. Bottom of the table is going to be WE as well as Vici still looking for points themselves, and they get a chance to try and take those points today. As first up, it's going to be Vici venturing to the Snake Pit in Chongqing to try and take down Snake. LG will be playing at Hangzhou at home, whereas WE venture out of Xi'an to try and take them down and brave the typhoon that is currently taking place there before we finally get into our match of the week, which is going to be RNG taking on Rogue Warriors later on tonight. That's going to start at 7 o'clock Beijing Standard Time. No matter what, we'll bring you all the action and keep you updated on all the games that we have today if we have to cut to that match itself. Joining me on the analyst desk tonight is going to be Zach Rusty Pie. How are you enjoying the typhoon so far, Rusty?
I love the wind and the rain. Isn't it wonderful?
Notice you don't have any shoes on anymore.
Well, the rain took them, so I don't have shoes anymore. I'm just wearing socks on the desk. But this is things you don't get to see, so don't worry about it.
Well, maybe we'll get a little bit of a sneak peek of that later on. But let's get to the first match that we have today. It's going to be Vici taking on Snake. And our Snake, they've been the team that's like to, change and shape things up with how the meta changes and how they try to adapt to it. Seems like they're moving back into a more traditional playstyle with the recent changes in their roster.
Yeah, they definitely have. Snake are one of those teams that, as a style, they revolve around the style of me, SOFM. And so when a new change comes in, when a new patch, new meta comes in, of course, Snake are going to be quick to adapt to exactly that because they want to be the first to innovate, but then they take innovation to the next level and to extremes. So it's good to see that, we hit those extremes. We had 2 supports playing in the roster, and they were playing around their jungler every single time, protect their SOFM, let him scale up and be a big carry. But now Light comes back, and they do actually look quite good. They're well versed, well practiced on having an AD carry in the AD carry role finally, and they are picking those champions. So for what it's worth, Snake have shown that whilst it is very obviously reflected through the players that are starting for the team, what their styles will be, but they can play both is the big takeaway from this, and it does speak positively towards Snake.
Still the opportunity to bring Hudia back into the roster, play the double supports whenever they like. I mean, we haven't seen Crystal either. It's been Light that's playing most of the time for Snake, which was a big question because we thought that Crystal, after starting very early into split, would continue once Gold finally got patched out or Snake decided to move away from that strategy.
Yeah, Crystal's a weird one. I know from last split when Light first joined the roster, everyone was looking at it, and Crystal came out in an interview and he said, basically, Light's a very good player. My spot is in jeopardy if Light continues to be as good as he is, but I have the experience, so I'm able to play with the team better. And the concern here for Crystal is that there's now been a full split of time brought into this. There's now been a full split of opportunities for Light to get better with his team. And I would say now is a great chance to actually watch how Light continues to play with Snake. And the big takeaway for me on this is that Light also played Swain in one of his first 2 sets. He played it twice. And that means that maybe it's taken this long for Light to get the mages down with the marksman in the bottom lane. And now that he's finally got that working, suddenly Snake changed their strategy.
Could have a bit of the EDG effect on Snake as well, where you have Crystal sitting on the sidelines with Hudia potentially giving advice to the new bottom lane of Light as well as Maestro, making sure that they perform well in those bottom lane situations, adapt to the different ways Snake are going to play. And I'm excited to watch Snake throughout the rest of the split because the next patch that will come into League of Legends is going to try and take away gold funneling. We can potentially see more changes, more adaptations from them moving further down the rabbit hole.
It's going to do a bit more than take away funnel, I think, unfortunately. A lot of carry junglers are feeling the burn from that just a bit more. If you're the most fed member on the team, you suffer greatly now, so perhaps tanks in the jungle just start to come back more and more.
Or just nobody can take my lane tax away anymore. Looking at you, all you solo queue junglers, that is my farm. Don't take it away from me. On the flip side, we're looking at Vici, who had a few new roster changes. A few new roster changes have come in for Vici, and they started strong with their changes, but they have been inconsistent when it comes to the games they've been playing.
Inconsistent's the best way to explain Vici, I think. They were, and so the thing with Vici, like if you look at them from the outside looking in, a bit more holistic, Vici were almost a disaster in the making from the very beginning. And the reason that I say that is the players that they have picked up. And there was a lot of questions that we needed answered from them, and there's a lot of potential in this side. So not to discredit Vici for the future, but their current stat is very poor. You've got Swift, who comes in, is a hard carry for every team that he ever joins, but he's only ever really joined middle of the pack or bottom tier teams, never anything above since his Chalgu Reapers time. And from that, he's taking all of the resources. And now he's with Fire Rain in the mid lane, who is a Mordekaiser main from the Challenger scene that has come up and has since looked okay, but hasn't done anything amazing. And now he has to learn how to play with Swift. Audi coming in the top lane from EDG. What we know of him was international events where he was choking on those events. Comes in, shows that mechanically he's still sound.
Yep.
But there are moments where he's caught out of position. His decision-making seems to be the biggest problem, not the mechanical decisions that he is making.
It's also really changed Vici's identity. If you look years back, splits ago, they used to be the late game team that would use the tops, there's very strong top side of the map, being top lane, jungle, or mid lane, to assist with a weaker bottom lane and get them to scale into late game. Identity's completely changed, and their current roster for the starting match is going to be Audi, Swift, Fire Rain, Snow, as well as Caveman.
And that bottom lane 2v2 is the place where I still hold hope as we go over towards Snake's roster as well. Flandre in the top lane, SOFM jungle, Guogua in the mid lane, Light and Maestro rounding out the bottom.
So why that bottom lane? What are you looking towards when you look at Vici's bottom lane, especially going into this match against Light and Maestro?
Snow is the player that I actually want to highlight. I think Snow and Light have very similar trajectories as players. They're both young, upstart, rookie AD carries coming in, trying to prove themselves with the big dogs of the LPL League, and I think they've got potential as individuals. And the hardest thing with these potential players is that you need to cherish that, you need to nurture that, you need to make it greatness. You can't just leave it as potential, otherwise the potential goes to waste. And the players learn for too long the wrong things. So I'm looking at Vici and I'm hoping that Caveman can reel himself in to empower Snow a little bit more.
Well, he's the veteran now, isn't he? Isn't Caveman the veteran of the team now? I mean, yes, the jungler has had a lot of time on many different teams, not only in the LPL, but other regions as well. But Caveman's been on Vici for what seems to be the longest out of all the 5 players now.
As Vici goes, yes, he's definitely the veteran. And Caveman is someone that does need to step up and work with Snow. But Caveman is either 5-0 or 0-5. He's a bit like PYL in that regard. And I'm just hoping that he doesn't go 0-5 anymore.
Well, hopefully he can help out Snow in this bottom lane. They're going up against Snake in the Snake Pit. So let's get into that first match. And we'll send it over to our casters.
Swift 之前在排位里面和比赛里面，我看他是很强的打野选手。不是现在我看他比赛，感觉有很多沟通和很多别他的问题。打他的时候，我感觉没问题。
SOFM dropping some shade as he looks to challenge Swift in the jungle. And, I mean, we heard at the top of the day that SOFM, he's probably feeling a little bit empowered right now. Not only is the patch in his favor, but Snake are also playing these crazy hyper carry strategies in which they funnel all of this gold into SOFM.
Yeah, I believe Rusty's point was that he would actually feel the burn of the patch a little bit. Now that if he's the most fed member in future patches, he actually can't get as much gold from the lanes as he used to do. But to be honest, Snake can play both strategies. They do have the gold funneling, and they also have the traditional marksman coming in with Light as well.
And it's so funny that you bring that up, because that was, I think, where we started to see some consistency out of Snake, was when Flandre was able to play a carry in the top lane, and Snake embraced that old teamfight style in which they flanked from multiple directions and pulled teams apart as the Snake Pit. That said, their opponent's Vici, they're a team that's not exactly well known for withstanding any sort of attacks like that.
Yep, Vici is kind of a weird team to me. If you want to learn about teamfight setup, they're actually one of the best teams to look at. They're very methodical in setting up the plays they want to make. However, they don't have the player strength to go through with the execution, and that's why they fall behind. We do see Vici go on the blue side and Snake going on red this time.
Yeah, so we'll see if Vici have been practicing their execution in these team fights, because again, like you said, the setup is good, and as they challenge Snake in Chongqing, they're going to have to bring that execution to bear if they want to try and bring Snake down. Because again, Vici, they are at 1-7. Snake are at 5-3. Trying to lock down that place in playoffs, whereas Vici, they're just trying to get into playoffs. But a very early Gragas rotation for Vici doesn't quite tell a lot for them just yet, but on your screen you can see Audi. He might be the guy who has to take that into FLICKR in the top lane.
Yep, this is a flex pick for Vici. They can play it into the top side, and it's also a takeaway from SOFM, who has been playing Gragas in the early jungle. Now, we see the support being locked down for Snake. This is how they do like to draft. They do like to take the support early and then leave the mid laners and the top laners for much later into the series. And we're seeing the second game come out from Kindred, from SOFM onto Kindred. Again, fitting his hyper carry profile. We've been seeing Haro do great things on this champion, and it's one of those picks, if that you snowball early game, you can completely dominate the mid game.
It's something that absolutely fits SOFM's MO, invading into the enemy jungle, stealing camps away. Last time he played the champion, he had an 8.5 KDA on that Kindred. Real big, real scary, but look at how Vici respond. They get themselves Rakan and Yasuo. That's looking like Vici might be setting up for a scary Wombo composition.
Yep, this is what Vici has been playing recently. Fire Rain's best, and I would say pretty much only good champion is the Yasuo pick. So they want to utilize him in the mid lane, give him enough tools to actually shine. Now, Fire Rain, in my ranking, is not really a top mid laner, but if you put him on Yasuo, he's passable. You give him a bit of time into the side lanes, he can farm up and then be that big carry for you. Snake, again, throwing another flex pick into the mid lane or possibly the top lane. One of the few top laners to still hold on to the Vladimir is FLICKR, and we've seen what he can do in those flanks.
Yeah, we've not seen Light play the Vladimir just yet. But like you said, that is a massive carry champion for FLICKR if he wanted to try to take that into the top lane against Audi. It's also something that's relatively safe because, you know, Audi is a strong mechanical counter player in lane, though his map presence, map awareness is something that could use a little bit of work. So perhaps FLICKR could try to exploit that in this matchup. But now we see the Orianna banned away from Vici along with that Xayah. Got to eliminate the lovers duo. And now we look to see how Vici try to round this out, because we still don't quite know where that Yasuo is going to go. Snow could play it in the AD carry position, though, like you said, Fire Rain has seen the most success.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be for the mid lane. What I'm really interested about is the Orianna ban away. So we haven't seen Orianna pick for Vici Gaming in any of their games, but Snake are preemptively taking this pick away because it's such a good counter to the Vladimir and the Kindred. The burst damage can instantly kill Kindred before the Lamb's Respite even comes out. And if you're running a composition that wants to walk into people, Orianna is your nightmare. So I really like that takeaway from Vici Gaming, even though they haven't shown the pick.
Ooh, now the Zoe could shake things up a little bit for Vici if they decide to lock that in, but that would be challenging that Yasuo, like you mentioned.
That was a bluff. Neither of these mid laners actually play Zoe. Now, this has been a huge weakness for both teams because they consistently have to ban it out. If this is a Zoe locked in, there's a very high chance that it's actually a bot lane Zoe for Snow. We have seen this being played by multiple teams. It started in the Rift Rivals, and it's actually a fairly safe lane. You can get away from a lot of things. If you weather the early game, your late game is very obnoxious for other bot lanes to deal with.
And now it should be noted, Snow has the highest damage percentage on Vici, so perhaps putting him on that Zoe could affect those numbers coming into this game, as he has seen the most success on marksman in the past, though he has also played those mages. So we'll see how Vici decide to shake this out, if they give him the Yasuo or if they take that Zoe bottom, as you say. And of course the Ornn to round things out in the top lane, which will send that Gragas into the jungle for Swift. But this is FLICKR getting counterpick. He knows he's up against Audi's Ornn, the lane player's Ornn. Is FLICKR going to look for the carry?
I think
Hovering us the old Darius. The Noxian Executioner, the Headsman's Axe, is about to fall as Darius gets locked in for FLICKR.
They have a good counter pick there. The Conqueror is still doing a lot of work. It will be nerfed in future patches, but for now, it's still one of the strongest runes you can take into the top lane, affecting a lot of that meta. So we're seeing Snake setting themselves up for a very strong top side of the map. And like we said, the Zoe will be for light, and the Yasuo will be for fire ring.
Yes, and it's so crazy that even with a Kennen and a Jax ban, FLICKR still gets his hand on another carry, and still had the flex potential to take a Vladimir. So this guy, he's got a massive champion ocean. Now he's going up against Audi on a tank, which maybe not the best place you want your side laner to be if you want to try to match Snake in that regard. But it seems as though Vici might be putting their eggs in a different basket this time and perhaps playing towards a different side of the map.
Yeah, and this is the Vici that I want to see a lot of their times. The teleports coming from other lanes into the bot lane are very spot on. When it's Swift coordinating with his lanes, I say this team has communication problems. When it's everyone into the bot lane, Vici actually look like a good team. So this is pretty exciting for Vici. They're playing something that they're familiar with, that they have shown strength on.
Yeah, it's certainly good. When you get 5 people stacked up together, it's pretty difficult to look bad unless you lose the ensuing team fight. But again, Vici, they're a team that's still struggling to find wins. 1-7 in the standings, trying to take down Snake, who are 5-3, who not only have found success going back to that classic team fight style, but also have utilized funnels, have utilized dogpile compositions to success here in the LPL. So it's an uphill battle for Vici, but it seems like they finally focused on what's strong for them. Now it's up to Snake to take that apart.
Yep, Snake here are coming in with a very sweet composition. It's kind of the same idea we saw yesterday with Kindred and Karthus. Basically, whoever comes out of the Lamb's Respite alive is going to get their heads chopped off by the Darius Execute, by the guillotine here. So it's a very interesting team fight scenario. It's a really good idea. They're trying to outlast the enemy team in team fights and come away with those executes.
And it's certainly very risky with the Yasuo dancing around, and of course the Gragas cask on top of the respite can get Snake out of there. But now it's time to hear from the crowd in Chongqing whether or not they're cheering for Snake, or whether or not the Vici fans will be the representing here. He's got a megaphone. I feel like that's cheating.
It should be. I was actually really surprised at how many Vici fans there actually are in Chongqing.
Yeah.
Like right now, Vici are probably, I would say, the weakest team in the LPL. The record does back that up as well, but they're still finding some love in another city.
Yes. Well, they do currently have the lowest win rate at 25%. Wins to losses, as they are 5-15. The only team ahead of them is, well, every other team, in fact. But LGD and WE are a single win above that at 6-14 and then 6-14 respectively. So there is still some room for Vici to try and grow and chase down a playoff spot. But as we load onto the Rift, we can see defensive lines across both sides. Vici doesn't want to take any chance getting bullied out by any sort of wacky invades, but Snake with a late invade from SOFM and FLICKR.
Yeah, this is rather unfortunate. Audi's previous level 1s might have been scouted out because FLICKR and SOFM were able to dodge his vision completely. They actually had a very good timer on when he was going to move into lane. So unfortunate for Swift. If he doesn't go for the vertical jungle, he'll just be losing out on one side.
And you can already see a defensive floor placed by Snake in that pixel brush to spot out if he does decide to hunt down that vertical jungle. We all know Gragas uses a lot of mana to try and sustain. Look at that, SOFM is even taking the Gromp away as he's just completely vertical jungling. Now there is a ward that should be on top of the Scuttle Crab right now, but no, they're already focusing the top lane. SOFM is trying to hunt down Audi. Look at who he's marked. That's an early flash. There's no headbutt. A quick apprehend pulls him back in, and SOFM, are they going to pass over the kill? Still gets the assist mark anyways as FLICKR gets first blood.
Yeah, this is absolute disaster for Vici right here. Not only does Swift lose out on his side of the jungle, you also give early marks to SOFM. That's one of the most dangerous things playing up against a Kindred. If Kindred can get to 4 stacks in laning phase, then she actually gets 75 extra range, a much stronger ganking at this point. So that's the reason you're going to see a lot of these level 2 plays being set up. It really makes her very dangerous in terms of the ganks.
Yeah, as soon as you can get those marks, that much more range gives you that much more ability to attack and trade. And SOFM, he's the guy who's probably going to need that extra range, judging by how he positions in fights and has no fear trying to dive into the back line. Already, though, Vici seemed to be trying to respond. They took that Scuttle Crab in the top river. They are using Scryer's Bloom and have now spotted out SOFM in his own jungle, so that's going to be a very important game for Vici. Can they keep track of this wily snake of a jungler?
Yeah, but Snake right now, they do have the pushing mid laner. Look at Guoguo's positioning. If Swift goes in too deep, he could be flanked from both sides.
Currently SOFM taking that blue buff. Guoguo is there as he's just walking back up, trading a little bit with Fire Rain, who's getting a lot of damage as he just runs him down. Knockup is used, but a quick blood pool gets Guoguo to safety. And SOFM is none worse for wear. He takes his blue buff and just continues to farm inside of his own jungle at the cost of Guoguo's health.
Yep, that's what you have to do if you're playing with SOFM. You have to give them those early leads. He is a jungler that does very well with them. He will go on the offensive and try to steal away everything the opponent has if you give him those leads. So Guoguo willingly sacrifices most of his lane, and now Fire Rain has to deal with the fed Kindred.
Ooh, red buff not quite hitting yet. There's the slow wind wall. SOFM leaps over but decides to let him go. And it feels like that's always the problem with Guoguo and SOFM, is that Guoguo will take hits, he'll go bottom on Rise, he'll trade health in lane so that SOFM can farm and get fed either on these carries or the funnel, but this time he's on the Vladimir. There's really not a lot of deficit to trading health in order to allow SOFM to keep farming.
Yeah, I think the way Guoguo actually plays is that he does play for later game team fights. He typically doesn't have a high forward percentage. You don't see him have the lane pushed out that far, but he's picking champions that have a lot of late game impact, like the Vladimir, like the Rise. Those are his favorite picks.
Those should give some more flexibility to him if Snake find themselves in those late game team fights. But already, it's 1,000 gold advantage for Snake. 15 CS ahead for Flandre. Didn't even have to use his teleport as he just stayed in lane. While Audi is suffering, getting wave after wave pushed into him. And in the bottom lane, we're also seeing Light happily get a CS advantage on that Morgana. Just so easy to drop Tormented Soil on the caster minions. Clear it out.
Vici's composition here is very reliant on Fire Rain actually doing well. Their entire combo piece is centered around Last Breath. So the big question is, when can they start moving all of their pieces into the bot lane? If you're down teleports in the top, if there's a fed Kindred influencing your lane all the time, when does that actually happen? That's going to be the big question and pointer as to how well Vici will be able to do this.
Are we looking at a when could you or a when should you? Because they could just do it now. Well, I guess he's level 5, so probably not now. That's not a great time.
Yeah, they want the level 6 big burst into the bot lane, but is it really going to happen? I feel like Snake have so much leeway on the rest of the map that it's very hard for Vici to actually move any of their pieces.
Finally, Fire Rain ticks over to level 6, but still nobody else is level 6 on his team, so getting that initial engage. Finally, Audi is going to tick over to 6. In addition, getting that Call of the Forge God should help, but it looks like Vici are actually investing in the top lane. That's teleport used by Flandre to get in. Call of the Forge God is ready. Fire Rain. Oh, the max range Last Breath. He's got no flash, gets slammed down. And it's not the bottom lane they go, Clement, but the top.
Yeah, that was a very smart move right there. Using the pushing advantage for Fire Rain and getting him that early assist, getting him on the board, making sure that he could possibly snowball this game further. And it was good timing on Flandre's flash as well. A couple more seconds and Flandre would have been able to avoid that gank.
Now Snake are looking for the trade-off to get something in revenge for that. SOFM looking for that red. It's just the easy execution. Maximum range. Whoop.
It is a 1400 range ability coming out from the Yasuo, so you can follow up with things as ridiculous as that one.
SOFM, is he actually going to take this Cloud Dragon here? He steals away the red buff. He's level 6 with Smite. Swift, level 5 with his own Smite as he's heading over. And there is a mark on the Raptor camp, so perhaps SOFM is just playing the intelligence game to try to keep Swift busy. And with a control ward behind that red buff and then another control ward in the river, it's an easy take for SOFM. A 7.5-minute Cloud Dragon to set him up. Already 2 marks. Meanwhile, Guoguo eats another knockup as he's trading with Fire Rain. Swift is there, now level 6, the immediate engage, a cast, but he's knocked out of it. Leaps back in, but only Barry. Caveman tries to get in there, flash away, but SOFM eats a grand entrance. Another zip in and out from Caveman as he tries to get a kill onto Swift. The Ignite ticking down, he does get revenge, but it's a 1-for-1.
So overall, just a 1-for-1 traded right there. I think SOFM was actually a little bit too optimistic. They knew there wasn't a last breath on Fire Rain, so they wanted to put some extra damage. However, Swift with the spider senses is able to catch SOFM out and basically one-shots him in that exchange.
Funnily enough, when you're at 400 health, walking into a Gragas Yasuo, not a great idea.
Yeah, I think SOFM overplayed his hand, to be honest. He was trying to get some more damage here. Fire Rain didn't have the full kill potential here.
Oh, quick reaction from Swift to get in. Even the cask on top of it to keep him busy there. And SOFM tries to flash away, but you can't escape the Rakan once he roams up as well. And of course, the Ignite tick back over for Guoguo. Should give some gold back into the hands of Guoguo.
I'm looking at the vision place right there, and it did seem like Swift actually anticipated without seeing SOFM. He knew that the Cloud Drake was just taken and there was a trade mid, and he actually anticipated SOFM to be in that position.
I think he might have seen SOFM in the river as he stepped forward, or Fire Rain did before Swift. So Swift just decided to hop in because he still had the cask anyways.
Yeah, they didn't have the ward in that brush.
Yeah,
However, they still knew he was there. So very accurate on the prediction either way.
As expected of a very talented jungler like Swift, 1-1-1 right now, as he steals away the blue buff that was stolen away from him earlier, trying to balance the scales, but SOFM happily trades it over as he looks for his third mark. It's one more for 75 range on the Kindred.
Whoops. He's going to have to wait a little while longer.
There we go. That was it. He wanted to take the long route so he could clear out the ward placed by Audi. But now he knows that he's been marked. They know SOFM is there.
He probably shouldn't stay.
Volcanic Rupture and a smite gets SOFM the mark. He's knocked up, cast back, and locked into the last breath. And this is what we wanted to see from Vici. Swift pairing up with Fire Rain. Not only do they have the two champions to do it, but moving around the map, they're starting to synergize well.
I have to say that hop that didn't take him over the wall was actually very damaging because he had to go through a ward to get to Gromp. So, you know, small mechanical mistakes can have very big impacts in this game. Giving away your position like that, he basically died for a mark.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, he's got one more until 4. 0-2-2 right now. Maybe still could be looking for that carry. Plus, he's still got the Yasuo, who's 1-0-2 to deal with. And FLICKR does have that first blood in the top lane. So we'll see how it shakes out. He's even in gold now with Swift, though he is starting to scale a bit more. Looks like it's even in the mid and bottom lane, though Light with a slight CS advantage. Biggest difference is in the top lane for FLICKR. He's about 600 gold ahead of Audi right now. And should hope to continue that trend as SOFM is walking up. That's the apprehend. Swift is already there. That's Call of the Forge God. Swift misses the body slam. Knock up onto Audi, and FLICKR just follows up. SOFM is even given the kill for yet another mark.
Yeah, and this is just the communication problem again with Audi and Swift. What Swift should have done right there was actually knock away FLICKR. Instead, he tried to go for SOFM, didn't land anything, and then Audi dies.
Yeah.
So it's... You can tell that these two players, like, Audi's a great mechanical player, Swift is as well, but they just don't have any synergy.
Same page, yeah.
Their 2v2 is always quite poor, to be honest.
And as a result of that, that now has given FLICKR 1 kill and 1 assist on the Noxian Executioner, on that Darius. And this leader of the Trifarian Legion of Noxus could become a problem, especially because it is FLICKR. He's not on the Vladimir this time, so at least there's that Vici can take back home. But how do they deal with that later on if that Darius ends up becoming too big? Can the Ornn continue to split push against a fed Darius?
What he wanted to do in the previous play was actually use the teleport timing difference and go bot lane, but Snake counteract that by just killing him in the top lane instead. So it was actually a very good use of a timing window. They understood that Audi was most likely wanting to push in the top lane because he had that teleport advantage, but Snake just took that away from him completely. And hearing you talk about the Trifarian, it's like, I just remember we did update the lore for Noxious. Yeah, they are the Trifarian legions right now, and that's also why Darius is building Triforce most of the time.
That's the reason, because his lore was changed, not because it synergizes well with the champion. I get it. Makes sense.
I'm sorry, putting you in bad spot.
No, he's good. It's 30 CS ahead for FLICKR as well. I think in addition to taking advantage of that teleport window, that also delays the strength of Vici getting a 5-stack in the bottom lane, but oh, that's a flash from Swift, and SOFM just nimbly
dodged
sidesteps it. Is he actually going to leap out of the pit here as... I
Should.
think he's trying to get some vision of this Rift Herald. Swift will see that. Blast Cone gets him over the wall. Scryer's Bloom spots out the rest of Snake, but with a roam from Caveman, it becomes a bit scary, especially considering Fire Rain has finished off that Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, there was some real potential for catches right there. Fire Rain could have locked down SOFM. Unfortunately, much better play by SOFM.
Oh man, he had to
flash.
step up. He's got that flash, like you said, uses it. And Volcanic Rupture will keep Snake from following up, but that's just, you hate to see that happen.
Yeah, very good
Flandre actually
dodge out by
flashed as
Audi.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good dodge out from the Apprehend that missed on the first try there. But they're still going for it again.
Oh no, SOFM.
They
You
see Gragas
evil,
on the
evil
map.
man, yeah.
Yeah, so they're willing to go in over and over again.
There's the Apprehend again. 1, 2, 3 auto attacks for a lot more, and the execution. Are they even going to finish it off? He
missed
gets
it.
the shield and a knock-up onto SOFM. Swift is just there a moment too late as that Darius finds his second kill.
Oh, and Audi doesn't even get the second proc. I understand that he was just trying to use the headbutt probably for a bit of a gap closing, but it's a bit sad to see there, just getting camped to hell. And of course, Snake are doing this play because they had full vision of the Gragas in his own jungle. They knew that he wasn't in the vicinity, and he wasn't going to threaten any other lane either. So, really smart play. It looks like bullying. It looks like cyberbullying. But
I'm pretty sure that's the equivalent of an electronic wedgie, is what they're giving to Audi.
Pretty much. But it was a smart one. It was well done.
Oh, that's a quickness and grand entrance. Just a simple Dark Binding prevents that from happening. Caveman trying to defend this bottom tier 1 turret. You can see that the push that Light is starting to get across is yielding results. That bottom tier 1 is chipped down quite a bit. There is another Cloud Dragon on this side of the map if Snake were to try and invest more, but Snow, he's finished off his Ludens. Doesn't quite have a lot of sustain outside of that Corrupting Potion. So there could be an opportunity for Snake if they wanted to try to play towards that bottom half of the map, but I'm not certain if they want to risk getting the Yasuo, Rakan, Gragas, Ornn all down there if Vici were to group up, as that's Ignite. Whoa, and the Hemo play. Gogo flashes away, sidesteps one, heals again, but Fire Rain goes low, gets 1, 2 shields, and survives. Oh, only barely.
And that's the 2-0-2 Fire Rain doing some work, a solo kill into the mid lane, and that could move him into these other lanes for extra trouble. Now, Vici Gaming, they are running more of a wombo combo type of composition, and I want to talk a little bit about Snake's bot lane, because this is basically the best deny combination you can get. There's a Black Shield that prevents people from getting knocked up, and there's also a Tahm Kench to save people if they do get knocked up. And what's so smart about this is that this is actually Light's first time playing on the Morgana as well. Smart drafting, but let's watch how Guoguo falls down to Fire Rain, gets hit by the EQ3. Oof. Alt.
Rising Wind on top of the Steel Tempest, and then the quick save from Caveman. SOFM, this is now the 3rd time, I believe, that he's starting off this Rift Herald. Should be able to finish it off this time because Swift is on the other side of the map as he's trying to invade the blue buff. And while Swift is busy looking for advantages over SOFM, SOFM is looking for advantages over Vici, as he will now take this buff. You can already see Flandre has happily pushed into the top lane while Gorgo holds mid. Vici will try to respond by taking Cloud Dragon and pushing into the bottom, but this seems like a pittance compared to the dive that SOFM and Snake are trying again. Stopwatch will deny the call of the Forge God. Flandre looking for more auto attacks, gets denied the knockup. Lamb's Respite keeps Flandre alive, as not even the minions go down in there.
Yep. Very well played by Audi right there. So able to keep his first tower alive. And this is going to put a lot of pressure onto the bot lane of Snake. You can see Vici thinking about the transition already. They just don't know where the Vladimir is.
Still sitting in that mid lane. Snow gets caught by a binding and eats a bit of harass down here, but a quick summoner heal from that Spell Thief keeps him topped up. I'm still watching for where SOFM goes with this Rift Herald. He's up to 4 stacks right now, so he's got that 75 extra range. At 3 more, at 7, he's able to get up to 100 range, which should help even more, but ooh, leaping in. I believe he was just spotted there by that ward that was placed by Fire Rain.
Yep, we do see the pings coming out as well, and Swift is already there to disengage. The way this should work is that if Fire Rain gets the first burst of damage and forces out the Lamb's Respite, then Gragas can use the explosive cast to blast everyone away.
The Respite is still on cooldown from the attempted dive top lane, though we do see level 11. SOFM, he's thinking of stepping forward. Swift is already backed into his own jungle, and Guogo is there to help keep that wave topped up. And I believe that was Abyssal Voyage from Maestro to try and match a rotation from Caveman. But they're already pushing bottom, and that means that top is once again on an island, pulling him out of the headbutt. Flandre, not only does he get first brick solo, he's still chasing Audi down with that Triforce. 5 stacks ready. The buzzer has been rung. Will Flandre go for the execute? Decides not to.
Audi does manage to slink away with his life right there, but Snake are already looking at the mid lane. They do have the Herald on their side, and with Flandre coming down to assist, should be a matter of time when they pull this play off.
And it seems like SOFM is so happy to just trade these blue buffs over time and again. He's like, all right, you take blue buff, what are you going to do? Dive my bottom lane? Good luck. I actually wish you luck against a Morgana Tahm Kench.
Like, how do you even deal with that lane? There's double stopwatches there as well.
Yeah.
A Black Shield and then Devour.
Yeah, you don't even need to. Just use the Black Shield onto the Tahm Kench, then get in his belly.
That's such a good answer to what Vici play right now, because Vici they're very limited by their champion pool. They basically only play the Yasuo mid, so if you run this composition, you just provide so much protection. That's a double layer of protection, I would say.
Denying that Yasuo the ability to assassinate a squishy target, especially when you've got the Lamb's Respite, and then you look at the other targets of Vladimir, who can heal himself up, and a Darius, who I'm not 100% certain Yasuo wants to be in melee range of. I'm pretty sure nobody wants to be in melee range of that Darius.
Yep, Darius is a very strong counter matchup into the Yasuo. Of course, we've seen good Yasuo players like Icon able to outplay to a certain degree, but I'm not sure if Fire Rain has it in him. Now, Fire Rain, when he does play the Yasuo, he's actually a very heavy side lane player. He does like to get a lot of the farm there and play for an even later game, but he's not doing it so far. And I think a lot of the reason is because of the just because how strong the Darius is in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the game is shaking out right now. Is we've only got 8 kills on the board, maybe a 1,500 gold lead for Snake as they're taking it nice and slow to secure their advantages, trying to eliminate risk, especially against a Wombo combo team.
Yep, but this is also a very good test for Vici. How is that synergy between their mid and jungle? Swift and Fire Rain. Can they land the combo and wait for the Lamb's respite and then blast everyone out of it? That's the combo I want to see from Vici. If they can do that, they can still do massive damage.
Now, Rift Herald was just used by SOFM in that mid lane in between minion waves for a very large, close to full health charge. Not enough to break down the turret, so still the only turret for Snake has been that top tier 1 for Flandre, but what are they doing with this tempo? They're starting to struggle a little bit in finding their mid-game footing, despite having an advantage. It seems as though Snake might be under the assumption that they're still pretty close to even in this game, though finally, Light and Maestro will be able to break down the bottom tier 1 just through the sheer Morgana pressure.
Yeah, frankly, I think it's fine for Snake to kind of wait on to the later game. You do have the Vladimir and the carry of Kindred as well. So, you know, they're just slowly cracking down the towers, and they're going to get all 3 outers.
SOFM taking a few hits. Windwall will buy some time. Swift is behind them with the cast. Even Audi's roaming towards the mid lane. Swift gets the body slam. That's the cast. Black Shield plus a Lamb's Respite, but SOFM is right on top of it. He leaps away. Knock up on the Maestro. He gets knocked up by Fire Rain. And there's the last breath Wombo. They chase onto Guogo, but he ducks down. That's a Hemoplague used in addition. But SOFM's already out of the fight. He's trying to heal up in the jungle as Vici. They're just looking for table scraps as they give up their turret and answer back by taking the mid-tier 1 of Snake.
And such a good alley-oop coming out from Swift right there. Kindred did not see that coming,
Whoa,
but Flandre
Apprehend onto 2. Flandre's getting a bit antsy. The Black Shield on top of him, but look at the CC. There's nothing that he can do. Swift goes in, Light follows up along with Guogo. Like you said, the triple with the Soul Shackles onto 4.
And nobody saw it coming right there. They thought they had the fight won already. This SOFM's Lamb's Respite was down. Guogo already used his flash, but Snake wait their time and get the perfect re-engage at the end. Light came out of nowhere. I didn't even see him. Like,
I didn't see him. I was watching
behind the tower. Yeah, he just flashed forward into
the classic Flash R combo. He's even got Zanya's Hourglass, but Snake, they're turning onto the Baron right now. Sleepy Trouble Bubble passes under Light's skirt and does not hit him, but the Baron, kindly enough, the old gentleman that he is, decides not to auto-attack Light and allows him to walk away with his life this time. And Snake aren't able to snowball the game a bit more, but let's take a look at this. The Apprehend, Light, looking for it.
Oh, gets such a great flash into the
Shackle.
entire team of Vici.
onto 3, and he even gets the stun onto the Gragas in the end.
Yep, he actually got the Soul Shackle on 4 people, and then the second proc on 3.
Yeah,
so
real big.
No way you're going to win a team fight after that scenario. And I do want to talk about the combination of Morgana Kindred, because this is exactly what Snake has ran twice in a row. And there is a good theory behind that. With Morgana, you're not very good at late game. Morgana's never going to clean up a team fight by herself. She's more of a one try and go type of champion. So when it goes to the super late game, she's not that good in team fights. But if you pair it with a Kindred, that gives you that late game insurance as well. So a really smart kind of shell that we're talking about coming from Snake. They have ran this multiple times.
And with this shell, they're hopefully going to try and end this game out against Vici again. This is a team that's 5-3. If Snake drop here, this would be a major blow to their morale, especially against Vici of all teams, currently the worst in the league at 1-7. As Light is able to step up. You just saw some of the gold difference between the carries. SOFM's ahead, Light is ahead, and FLICKR is ahead. But where Vici have their strength, it's all on that Wombo combo. Fire Rain, he's 4-1-2, about 1,700 gold ahead of Guoguo, and he's finished off the IE Phantom Dancer. That is 100% crit with a lot of true damage in the back of it.
That's a little bit of an unfortunate situation for Snake right here. They would ideally want to match up the Yasuo with the Darius from the bot lane, but it's already past 20 minutes. There's a good chance that someone could start Baron, so they have to keep their teleports into the bot lane, and you can see the effect on Guoguo. He's just went over the river, checked if anyone was there, and immediately backed out.
Recalled by a control ward, go back and do it again.
He's like, I don't want to push this wave at all.
He can't take any risks against the Yasuo, and with Guoguo sitting back, that might delay him a little bit. I like how he did go for the Spellbinder second, which does give him some big burst in these fights if he's able to get back up to 100 stacks. Not the consistent damage output of, say, like a Rabadon's or even a Proto Belt, but it does give him big hits because he knows that it's not the sustained damage he needs to worry about. It's these big explosive fights. As FLICKR, does he go in here? There's no way he goes in.
Yeah, he's just you know, just fishing for it. They could misposition themselves.
Oh, that's the Abyssal Voyage. They're actually trying to pin onto the Yasuo. Maestro is carrying Light along with SOFM. That's the slow. Binding is ready, but with no flash. They actually managed to get the flash knock up in the cask onto it, but Fire Rain's so low, and he's bursted down. Call of the Forge God and Dark Binding will be traded, as that's already 2 members of Vici dead. Swift will die to try to keep that Yasuo alive.
And Fire Ray must feel so frustrated. He got the perfect combo off, but the combination from Snake is just... You can't kill anyone on that team. There's Lamb's Respite, which they did not use in that fight at all. Didn't need to use it, and they could just use the Devour and Black Shield to get out of a situation like that.
And now they turn onto the Baron. SOFM is going to shred through it real quick. You can see Vici trying to defend. That's a Paddle Star and the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. A Respite will stall this out as FLICKR steps forward. He's still able to drop the ultimate, but Caveman gets slowed on the way in. FLICKR gets eaten up as he steps forward. Baron finished off as Guoguo now is going to be the one to carry. A Black Shield on top of FLICKR prevents any further face. SOFM goes in, and they find yet another kill. Snake are nice and slowly rolling Vici over.
Yep, Vici unable to match up with the pacing of Snake. Snake get the first pick early on, the slow onto Fire Rain. There's nowhere for him to go. Swift with the hero play, but you can see the Devour right there preventing any deaths coming from Snake's side, and they're able to clean up shortly after.
Yeah, Maestro's the one who ends up taking the most of the damage. Light nearly gets caught on the follow-up burst from Fire Rain landing down, but a quick Devour from Maestro keeps him topped up. And had that been a 3-person or even a 4-man knockup, if Vici, or if Snake were just a little bit more stacked, that could have gone very differently.
Yep. But it's really hard for Fire Rain to do, because if you're thinking about the perfect combo, he actually needs to get 3 members at the same time, Morgana, Tahm Kench, and Kindred, and he needs to finish them all before one of them can use the shields, the Devour, or the ultimate to save anyone. So it's such a good counter from Snake here. I really like their drafting so far. They found, I think the key to this meta is you have to read the enemy composition, understand how it works, and then try to break their combo.
Take it apart, yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly what Snake is doing.
I mean, we call them the mad scientists. Well, maybe it's not so mad that they're playing something a bit safe and intelligent, because by definition, they're still scientists. They're still the ones who are dissecting the composition of Vici here. And Snake, now with this Baron buff, they're going to break down that middle tier 2 turret. They've already got a wave prep by Guoguo in that top lane already. Fire Rain is trying to step up and defend it, but you can see the quick rotation from Snake to cover him.
Not a lot of outs for Vici right now.
Yeah,
completely on the back foot.
Audi, without teleport, is forced to hug his tier 2 in the bottom lane because he didn't see Snake for the longest time. Finally, he's trying to step forward and finish a kill onto FLICKR, who steps up. He's got that GA, though. Flashes to the other side of the cask, and even Vici's pick attempt gets denied.
Yeah, but it was a good try there from Vici. They do get the flash, so if they can kite back in the future team fights, Darius might not be that useful.
Just like that, the Sleepy Truffle Bubble is denied by the Black Shield. Snake are just so on their toes to any opportunity for Vici to get back into this.
The way this team fight has to work is Caveman has to go in first, get the last breath, and then hold on to the explosive cast. It needs to be a combo breaker coming from Swift to knock everyone out of position, especially away from the Lamb's respite.
Well, right now he does not have that cask, which means he does not have a chance. Unless he gets a
back up.
body slam into 3 people or something, as FLICKR just clears the ward and keeps the super minions, or sorry, Baron minions pushing forward. The next wave is there. SOFM is healing up a lot from that red buff. Spellbinders is also stacked on Guoguo in the mid lane. He's trying to push another wave. As the binding splits the post, there's the engage flank from the side. Caveman gets the knockup onto 2. There's the respite you were talking about. But this is SOFM and Snake resetting the fight. They actually kill SOFM. Like goes Golden. Soul Shackles onto 2, but Guoguo has joined the battle. FLICKR is cleaning up. That's 1. He's looking for 2. The Hemo Plague picks it up and denies the Penta as Guoguo shuts it down. And the intent was there, but like you said, they weren't able to get Snake off that respite fast enough.
Yeah, that was so close. They had a very good combo going in. It was the quickness with the Ornn, but there was no explosive pass. It was not off cooldown, and Lamb's respite held everyone alive until Guoguo could then re-enter the fight. I think Vici had a great idea, but the timing was just not there.
Now the Baron buff has worn off for Snake, so these regular minions get cleared out real quick by that Nexus turret. And Snake are unable to end the game, though they do take this inhibitor and start heading towards the Mountain Dragon. But like you said, it's a 10,000 gold advantage for Snake off the back of this fight. Vici needed the perfect execution, but that was only a 7 out of 10.
Yep, Swift does speak good Chinese, so he should be able to convey to his teammates that, hey, I do not have this R for this team fight.
That's the hope.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like a lot of teams are saying, like SOFM was just saying in that interview there,
yeah,
is that he just does not see the synergy between Swift and the rest of his team. And that's another case of it.
Another opportunity for that to rear its ugly head as Vici are trying to recover. It all starts with an excellent flank from Caveman. 4-man quickness.
Yeah, and look at this. He gets all 3 of the key members that can keep each other alive, but Kindred still finds the chance to use the ultimate. Guoguo has been sitting on all of those side lanes with that Spellbinders, comes in with massive damage, and you can see the only person that can survive this type of a burst from him is Audi at this point. There's a lot of low health members, a lot of easy to kill members. We call them crispy members in Chinese because they break easily.
Yeah. Oh man, these crispy members for Vici are going to make for a fine meal for Snake. If they aren't able to recover, even FLICKR is level 18, 4 full items, and he's got a Gargoyle Stone Plate. As he was caught in that last team fight, he was barely brought down to about 70% health from all of the massive burst from Vici, and that Darius was starting to become a problem. Well, now that time has arrived. SOFM is also sitting happily at 3 items himself. We've got the Rabadons finished on both Guoguo and Light. They don't even need the Baron to set up the siege onto the next inhibitor turret, as Fire Rain was just split pushing bottom. Black Shield means SOFM can walk up and get a few quick hits onto the turret, but it's only 80 seconds until that Baron is back up and the siege begins anew.
Yep, I do believe that Snake will try to take the Baron before they do any risky plays. Remember, Vici with their full combo can still wipe Snake. That's the beauty about a wombo combo composition, is that a lot of the times the gold deficit doesn't really matter. It's about the split-second execution. If you can bring all of your pieces together at once, like they did in that previous team fight, then you can instantly wipe. It's a miracle team fight composition from Vici.
And if I were writing the story, this is the composition that they would have to run. It would be a last-second, when all hope is lost moment that Vici find the wombo combo, what they've been looking for the whole time. As Snake perhaps overstepping their hubris, I guess that's the challenge for Snake then, is will they be able to continue playing as cleanly as they have been to close this game out? Because it's, aside from the 9 kills that Vici have gotten through, a bit of a reckless setup from Snake. Their macro play has been intelligent. There haven't been a lot of risks around these fights that Snake can take because they know how strong they are right now.
Now, basically, Vici only won that one mid-game team fight in the mid lane, but Snake was able to claw their way back from that as well, with the triple kill coming in from Light. So I think the game has actually been a lot more dominant than the kill score would suggest.
Yeah. Now we just saw a massive paddle star hit SOFM. He immediately has to retreat back into the jungle. Doesn't have a lot of way to get that health back. No red buff quite yet as he's starting to clear those camps. He does have Smite, but Vici, they're pushing up to make sure that that Baron is safe because that is spawning very soon. It actually did just get back onto the map, and there are super minions pushing back. So Snake, instead of taking a risk, instead of pushing forward into Vici's composition, they're just waiting it out, making sure they've still got vision and keeping Vici antsy, while a massive super wave is building bottom. Here we go.
Snake are trying to fork the composition. What will Vici decide on? They're going all in for the Baron.
Swift is behind the pit now. They see him walk around the flash pull onto Fire Rain. He's got a GA, but the quickness engage, and look at how Snake are splitting up Flandre. He actually ults early, a knock up onto 3 members. Lamb's Respite resets it. You can see Light is on top of that. He goes golden with the Zanyas. SOFM saved by Maestro as Audi will eventually burn down, and somehow Snake are able to kite it out perfectly on top of the Lamb's Respite. Immediate double teleport onto the Nexus of Vici to end the game. As Vici, they look for the final team fight, but Snake deftly outplay it.
And a 5-for-0 team fight to wipe Vici off of the map. It was a good play from Fire Rain right there. He went into the backline, got all 3 targets that he needed to assassinate, but couldn't kill Kindred fast enough. SOFM with the fast fingers still is able to pull out the Lamb's Respite, and with their sustained damage composition, they do overrun Vici in the end. It was close to being a miracle, but the superior composition, the superior answers coming out from Snake, once again denying Vici from a victory.
Yeah, and you could see just at the end of the game there, Vici with his head down, 34 minutes and 20 seconds in, Fire Rain Snow. They're well aware of how close they were. They had the composition, they had the opportunity. They even were able to stall it out and move forward towards that Baron. But Snake simply outplayed them in that last team fight. Like you said, SOFM able to get that Respite down. Light, massive damage on that Morgana, the most in the game, in fact.
Yeah, it was a really smart composition from both sides. The first time we're seeing the Zoe from Vici, and the first time we're seeing the Morgana bot lane for Snake right there. So both of them pulling out answers to counteract each other. Trying to throw some shade here. Hey, is the Yasuo going bot, or is it going into the mid lane for Fire Rain? Yeah, exactly. So it was a smart move right there, but I want to see Vici with more variety. They do need more compositions to play, or if it's just this one, then Snake have an easy answer already.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if that's the case, but now it's time to get our analyst take on that game 1.
Thanks, guys, and we're going to start with Drop, because you were talking to me during the pick and ban phase that Vici should pick up on. If they picked up on, they'd have a very good composition to work with.
They'd win. I know I didn't really mean it, but I said they'd win because I was just happy they picked up the Ornn. But I think you're right, Fish. So here's the thing. I'm gonna start with not contesting Clement, but expanding a bit further on what he was saying, because I do think in the end Snake had a better composition. But what I want to look at first and foremost is Vici's composition and why I like it so much. It's very simple. It's a wombo combo, but it's in multiple layers of wombos in the things that they can do. The primary source of this composition is the Yasuo. They picked it second alongside the Gragas as well. And once you've got a Gragas Yasuo, you win mid jungle at level 6. Pretty much nothing can beat you at level 6 in that combo, because if the Gragas ultimate hits, the Yasuo ultimate follows, the damage combo is there, and the layering of crowd control is easy to put down with an Ignite on a Yasuo, right?
So were they able to execute that?
So that is, let's talk about the draft first.
Okay. So we're still going on the draft?
Yes, because there's multiple layers, Fisher. We're at level 1. The second one is that there is an Ornn Yasuo, so they've got the team fighting. The third one is they've got Rakan Yasuo, so they've got the team fighting there as well. Pretty much, if the mid jungle wins, it can go elsewhere on the map. And then that can win, and basically the whole map starts to cascade and snowball into a victory, just as a result of having a Yasuo in your composition. That's what I like about the comp, and it gives them ease of execution once you hit mid and late game.
So there's ease of execution, it works well together, and that in an ideal situation is how it's meant to work. What actually happened in that match?
I mean, that's where you have to look at Snake's draft to oppose it. So the thing is, like, it's very easy to go forwards as Vici, but it's very easy to disengage that when you've got a Tahm, Kenshin, and Morgana, when you've got a Lamb's Respite on a Kindred as well, and when you've got a Vladimir with the Blood Pool in that mid lane. So ultimately, this game, through the draft, became a battle of forwards versus backwards. You know, offense versus defense was what this really came down to. So whilst the execution is there from Vici, very easy for that to go sideways and to go very wrong if their opponents are able to map that out, able to play around that better. And that's where a lot of the vision, a lot of the setup and decision-making is important here. If Vici aren't engaging the fight, they'll most likely lose the fight. And that was what we started to see in the game.
Especially halfway through the match when we started to get team fights as well. It's a very similar setup that led to one of the first few fights where Snake were able to wipe the floor with Vici, and that set them up to pick up a nice gold lead for themselves. And team fight after team fight, they'll just have to able to break through Vici.
And this is 22 minutes in the game, and Snake do end up winning this fight from a big play from Light on that Morgana. And now, while this is happening, look at the ultimates available on Vici's side on the left of your screen. None. So why are they still pressing forwards with the opportunity for a team to counter-engage them is the question. Their combo is entirely ult-reliant, and they need those to win fights, and then they tried to siege against a Morgana, against the Darius, who they just seize the moment. Very easy to pick the fight.
They had to press R and run at you composition, but when you don't have the R, you can only just run at people. And that's basically inting straight down mid lane after that. They went into another team fight where Snake were missing Vladimir during the start of the team fight, and things were looking good for Vici. It seemed like a situation where they could try and find a way back into the match. But the damage was already done by this point. It's a 10,000 gold lead for Snake. They just waited for Vladimir to show up, and they were still able to pick up the fight.
And you can see the best example of the combo there, but this was one of those too little too late type of moments. If the gold was dead even in this game, I think Vici win this fight very easily. But of course it was not. It was about 9,000 against them. And FLICKR, very big on that Vladimir, is able to come into the fight and pretty much carry all of it through, and did have a very good performance here, FLICKR, something that was set up by all of Snake early on into the piece. The first kill in the top lane gets the Darius rolling, and when the Darius is rolling, the game's pretty much over. That's how strong Darius is right now.
He's been looking good. He's been one of these signature picks. I know players like Lies have been picking up, having decent performance, decent win rates with him. Even in the LCK, we saw FLICKR pick it up, go into the bottom lane very early into the summer split. Has been a very strong champion. One champion that's been coming back a lot more is Kindred. And we've seen some unique combinations with Kindred. We've seen it paired with champions like Karthus. We see it paired up with Darius to get better resets. Now with champions like Vladimir, who have a lot of healing and a lot of damage that is dealt after the Lamb's Respite goes out. So we're starting to see it played more. But where is the exact fit for this champion? Because Snake, it makes sense. SFM is a hard carry, give him a carry pick. So where does Kindred make sense?
The thing with Kindred, like you're mentioning all of the combos that it has with its own team, but you also have to look at what it does against other teams. And if you're running a combo that has a wombo in it, then Kindred diffuses all of that. If you can't kill them immediately in that combo, the shockwave, whatever it is, you know, doesn't actually connect and get the kills, then the opposing team can turn that around. So that's one of the other big strengths that a Kindred has, and I don't think its place is like in a composition. I don't think it's set in stone. This is where it goes, and this is why. I think it traditionally, and the reason it first came up, was it was very good into Kaiser, and since then, when it became more meta, was very good into Nocturne.
Especially after the buffs that Kindred got as
well.
well.
So preventing dive champions is one of the biggest things that it has. And since that point, you've seen Gragas also being a very big deal. Gragas one of the better picks into Kindred. So there's a constant battle happening.
To which my final question was, we talked about, you know, Vici drafted well, Snake drafted very well as well, but they picked Kindred very early into the draft. Should Vici still have gone down the same path they took? If they're ultimate reliant, one combo reliant, doesn't Kindred already diffuse that right away?
So the thing with Vici is that they are just losing a lot. They have got a Yasuo picked early, and it's FireRain's best champion. So why would you not just pick an easy composition and expect or hope that, you know, like Kindred's a fragile pick. If you've got layering of crowd control that is knockups, can't CC that. Kill the Kindred before she can ult. I think there's merit in that style of play from them. At the end of the day, there's still Vici, and Snake are a good team, especially when they get rolling. So they were able to execute against their opponents. And I think the bigger problem was the Morgana being available here for Light.
And Light was able to pick it up, but working in tandem with SFM on that Kindred pick allowed SFM to pick up MVP for match number 1.
SOFM had a pretty good game here. Honestly, his early pathing was strong. Of course, there were moments where Swift on the opposing side was looking for ganks and was working with his team, but SOFM individually was at the right place, getting ganks top, stealing the dragons away, 100% kill participation.
What I like about SFM recently is it seems that he's meshing much better with Snake now than in the past few splits. I mean, He used to have the occasional error, occasional miscommunication, but we even heard during his interview, speaking perfect Mandarin now, must be able to communicate a lot better with his teammates.
It'll help a lot for communicating with his team. I think they've just learned him better.
Oh, you have to learn SOFM if he's on your team. We're going to go into a quick break. We're back with match 2 in just a bit.
请重庆的召唤师们继续带给 Snake 力量，雄起！